In 2024, the science fiction author Ted Chiang wrote in an essay for The New Yorker, using ChatGPT to complete assignments is like bringing a forklift into the weight room. It's a fantastic metaphor because when you go to the gym, the weight is the point. Nobody picks up a dumbbell because they need it moved across the room. They pick it up to get stronger. That's what the weight is for. When I assign a paper, it's not because the world needs more 6-page philosophy papers. It's because of what writing the paper does to the person who writes it. Chiang makes this point. The paper isn't the product. The effort is the product. Bringing a forklift into the gym and you're acting like the point was to get the weight off the floor, but the lifting was never the outcome. The change you go through when you lift, that's the outcome. And that's the point of going to a university. It's just not just to get a degree so you can get a job, it's to change your capacity for reflection, for critical thinking, for careful reading and clear writing. So picture a gym where the membership runs into the thousands of dollars, but the equipment is state of the art and the trainers are world class. In fact, most of them have PhDs. So you sign up. And every single day, you bring in your forklift. What would be the point of that? And think about what that looks like 4 years later. Someone who goes to college and has AI do all their work is that gym goer. Here's the thing, you might get away with it. You might never get caught. You might walk across the stage and collect the degree. But after 4 years of using a mental forklift to lift all of your weights, you're holding a receipt for a gym that you never actually used. Are you actually going to have gotten any stronger than the day that you first walked in? And that's the part that should worry you. If this has been your approach to the gym, what good is that degree going to be anyways? Now you're on the job market and an employer is choosing between two candidates. Who do they prefer? A graduate whose only real skill is asking ChatGPT to do the work? Someone who spent 4 years and maybe a fortune on an empty degree? Or someone who never went to college but can also ask ChatGPT to do the work? The point is, that's the exact same skill set. And remember what we already learned. AI is a powerful tool that doesn't know when it's wrong. The skill set that gets the most out of it, that tames your pathologically lying assistant and gets good work out of them, is exactly the skill set you're supposed to be building all through your education. It's critical thinking to know when you should double check or when you should be skeptical. It's the close reading to catch when a source doesn't actually support the conclusion drawn from it. It's the information literacy to know when you even need a source and how to tell a good one from a bad one. It's the intellectual humility to ask, wait, what if I'm wrong? The ability to weigh evidence, compare interpretations, and make a judgment when there's no answer key. Those aren't skills that AI makes obsolete. They're the skills that make you good at using AI in the first place. In fact, as we move forward in the future and AI becomes more and more sophisticated, that's always going to be the bottleneck on effective use. It's going to be human judgment. And human judgment is precisely what we teach at this university. So, in purely practical terms, letting AI do all your work is just a bad bet. But that reason is about you. It's about what you stand to lose. There's another kind of reason, and it's not about you at all. It's about what kind of society you want to live in. I guess it's about you in as much as it's about what kind of person you want to be. Because you're here at university, and at the end of this, you get a degree. And that degree is not a trophy. It's a claim about your capabilities, a kind of a promise. It tells the world what you're competent at. Universities do a lot of things in society. They preserve and transmit knowledge. They train and inform citizenry. They prepare people for a professional life. But they also do something else. They send a signal. They give a promise. to employers, to graduate schools, to your next client or your next patient. And every one of those people is trusting that signal. They aren't checking your work themselves. They're trusting that the institution put you through a process and that you're getting through that process vouches for what you can actually do. So when the work you turned in during that process wasn't yours, you don't just cheat yourself. You weaken the trust the whole system runs on. The signal loses its value. And that doesn't only hurt your future employees or clients. It hurts the students sitting in the room with you, whose degrees are suddenly worth a little less because yours says the same thing, but doesn't really mean anything. And notice that fundamentally, those two reasons are really one reason. The forklift cheats you out of becoming capable. The strength, the judgment, the muscle, it takes that away from you. And it cheats you out of becoming trustworthy, someone whose word and whose degree actually means something. That's not a coincidence. Look at what a university education is actually supposed to build in you. The critical thinking and close reading that make you good at the work, and the moral and ethical discernment to care how you do it. Those were never two separate things. They're the same education. That's what an education at a university is for. The point was never about the work. It was always about you and becoming the kind of person that you want to be.